Welcome, fellow Rossoneri faithful, to Milan Soccer Club. This is our inaugural episode, and let's just say the vibes are intense after that gut-wrenching Champions League playoff loss against Feyenoord. I'm Alice, your host, ready to dissect this mess.
And I'm Paul, here to try and make some sense of it all, with a healthy dose of passion and maybe a little bit of pain. I mean, 1-0 away is not the end of the world, but the performance. We've got a return leg at San Siro coming up, and honestly, the pressure is huge. We're going to break down Conceicao's post-match frustration, the Fab Four flop, and the overall feeling that something is seriously off at Milan. Fasten your seatbelts. This is the Milan Soccer Club.
All right, Paul. So, let's set the stage for our listeners. What are the key takeaways from this Feyenoord debacle and the media storm it unleashed?
Okay, so in a nutshell, Milan showed a concerning lack of fight, a real mentality issue in a crucial Champions League match. Rafa Leao is looking increasingly predictable. The Fab Four experiment, Leao, Pulisic, Joao Felix, Gimenez, looks tactically unsustainable under Conceicao's system. And to top it all off, we've got reports of managerial disarray and just a general inability to string together wins. Bottom line, the dream of Champions League glory this year is on very shaky ground, Alice.
Okay, Paul, that's not exactly the pep talk I was hoping for. Let's start with the elephant in the room, the performance against Feyenoord. It wasn't just a loss. It felt like a total collapse of mentality. What went wrong?
Everything, Alice. From the get-go, Milan looked flat. The article from Pianeta Milan hit the nail on the head. They were fragili, prima di tutto mentalmente. Fragile, first and foremost. Be aggressive, play a low block, and hit Milan vertically. And they executed it perfectly. I mean, Milan looked like they were surprised by the intensity of a Champions League playoff game. That's unacceptable, Alice. Unacceptable.
Okay, so, no fight. But is it just about wanting it more? Isn't there a tactical component here? Did Conceicao get his tactics wrong?
Well, it's a bit of both. Conceicao went with the Fab Four from the start, and it backfired spectacularly. The idea, I guess, was to overwhelm Feyenoord with attacking talent. But what happened is that Reinders and Fofana were completely overrun in midfield, and the Fantastici Four, the Fantastic Four, offered little to no defensive support. Pianeta Milan called it 4-2 confusione, 4-2 confusion, and that's spot on. There were no movements. Leao and Pulisic kept wanting the ball at their feet, and Gimenez was isolated against Feyenoord's center backs. Joao Felix.
So to everyone listening, it sounds like a nightmare scenario. But the Gazzetta dello Sport survey, that was brutal, right? 62% of fans think Leao should be benched. Is it really that bad?
Alice, it is bad. Look, Leao is a fantastic player. We all know that. But lately, he's been a ghost. He's become so predictable. The Feyenoord right-back, Gaviro Red, who, by the way, is only 18 years old, said after the match, he's not that fast. I watched some videos, so I knew what to expect. I mean, come on. An 18-year-old figured out Rafa Leao. That's damning. He keeps trying the same moves, cutting inside onto his right foot. Defenders know it's coming. He needs to add some variety to his game. Start making runs in behind. Start linking up with his teammates. Otherwise, he's just a flashy player who disappears in big games. And you know that is not what Milan fans want to see.
Okay, so Leao needs to step up, that's clear. But what about the rest of the Fab Four? Are Pulisic, Joao Felix, and Gimenez immune to criticism here?
No way. Pulisic has been struggling with his fitness. Gimenez was isolated and starved. That's what makes a great attack, Alice. Not just four talented players standing around hoping something happens.
Okay, so the Fab Four experiment is failing. But is it really fair to judge it so harshly after just one game? Maybe they need more time to gel?
Time is a luxury Milan doesn't have, Alice. They're fighting for a Champions League spot. They need to get results now. And honestly, I don't think this formation is sustainable in the long run. Conceicao's system requires defensive work from everyone. Leao isn't doing it, while Felix isn't really doing it. It leaves the midfield completely exposed. I think Conceicao needs to go back to a 4-3-3, bring Musa back into the midfield, and make some tough decisions about who starts in attack. Honestly, I think that's what has to happen in the San Siro for the second leg.
Speaking of Conceicao, his press conference after the game was dramatic, to say the least. He walked out after waiting 15 minutes and answering only one question. What was that all about?
It's a sign of his frustration, Alice. He was clearly furious with the performance. The report said he was infuriato e spazientito, infuriated and impatient. He felt disrespected by having to wait so long to speak to the media, and he used the opportunity to make a point. He basically said, "We knew what to expect. We conceded an early goal. We had chances to equalize, but I'm not wasting my time here." It was a power move, a message to the team that he's not happy with their attitude.
So, is that good management or a sign that he's already losing the dressing room?
It's hard to say. It could be a wake-up call, a way to light a fire under the players, or it could alienate them. It depends on how they respond. But one thing is clear. Conceicao is not afraid to ruffle feathers. He's not afraid of making a big statement, and that's something Milan might need right now, especially with what Boban said.
Ah, yes, Boban. The former Milan legend didn't hold back either, saying Milan have never played twice with the same formation. Is that an exaggeration, or is there some truth to that?
There's definitely some truth to it, Alice. Milan have been incredibly inconsistent with their lineup and tactics. Part of it is due to injuries, part of it is due to trying to integrate new players, but a lot of it seems to be a lack of clear vision from the coaches and the management. Boban is right. There's no stability, no consistency, and that makes it very difficult for the players to build any kind of understanding or rhythm on the field. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. So, we've talked about the attack, the tactics, the manager, but what about the defense? Theo Hernandez has been a shadow of his former self, hasn't he?
What has happened to Theo? He's been a disaster defensively, Alice. The article points out that he's lost that straffatenza positiva, that positive arrogance that made him so special. He's not making those explosive runs anymore. He's not beating players, and his defending has been atrocious. He's making lazy errors, losing his man, failing to track back. It's like he's lost all his confidence. He was compared with Paolo Maldini for goals scored as a defender. He needs to shake himself out of this slump because the defense is suffering because of it, and his price tag is a weight on the team at the moment.
And it's not just Theo, is it? Maignan, who is one of the best goalies in the world, seems to be making some uncharacteristic errors as well.
Maignan's form is definitely a concern. He had a howler against Cagliari a few weeks ago, and then he repeated it against Feyenoord. He misjudged the flight of the ball completely on that goal. The article suggests it might be a technical issue, a problem with his footwork and positioning, but it could also be a mental thing. When a goalkeeper makes a mistake, it can be tough to shake it off. And when that man is captain and one of the best in the world, it makes a huge difference, doesn't it?
Okay, so the team is struggling on the field, the manager is frustrated, and the star players are underperforming. But is there a deeper problem here? Ravizani suggests that Milan are una società improvvisata, an improvised club, with unclear roles and responsibilities at the management level. What's your take?
Ravizani's comments are pretty harsh, but there's definitely something to them. It seems like everyone is doing everyone else's job. You've got the chief scout making transfer decisions, the CEO making transfer decisions, and Ibrahimovic with full powers. It's a recipe for chaos. There's no clear structure, no clear direction. Milan needs to bring in a proper sporting director, someone with experience and a clear vision for the club. Furlani should stick to being CEO. Moncada should stick to scouting, and Ibrahimovic should focus on being an ambassador and a mentor to the players. That's what a team needs to get better, right?
So, organizational issues, individual struggles, tactical confusion, it all adds up to a team that can't seem to find any consistency. Fonseca had the same problem, and now Conceicao is facing the same challenges. Is there any hope for Milan to turn things around?
It's going to be tough, Alice. The article says that Milan haven't won 3 games in a row in ages. But it's not impossible. They have the talent. They have a good manager. But they need to find some consistency, some mental toughness, some tactical clarity. They need to start winning the duels, start playing with aggression, start working together as a team, and they need to do it fast because the clock is ticking and the return leg against Feyenoord is looming large.
And what about the game in San Siro? What do they need to do? Can they turn it around?
Well, Milan News asked the match analyst Michel Tassani, who said that the Milan team is better with three midfielders, so Joao Felix needs to play in the midfield. The attack need to bring intensity, be aggressive, win those individual duels. This is a must-win, or the next round is in serious risk.
All right, Paul, so to summarize all of that doom and gloom, Milan is facing a crisis on and off the field. The Champions League dream is hanging by a thread, and there are serious questions about the team's mentality, tactics, and management. The million-dollar question is, can Milan fix this mess?
That's the question, Alice, isn't it? Whether they can pull themselves together, find some fight, and turn this season around. Only time will tell. But one thing is for sure, the next few weeks are going to be absolutely crucial for Milan's future.
Okay. Milan faithful, that's all the time we have for today. Thanks for tuning in to the inaugural episode of Milan Soccer Club. Paul, thanks for trying to keep the hope alive.
Hey, I'm a Milan fan, Alice. Hope springs eternal, even when it's being crushed by Feyenoord. But seriously, we need your voices. Let us know what you think in the comments, on social media, everywhere. And most importantly, subscribe to Milan Soccer Club and follow us for more independent opinions. We'll be here every step of the way, through the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. Forza Milan.